This is Boxing Tickets, and we are delighted to be joined once again with the negotiator, Jay Byrne. Jay, just before we start, just want to see the top of your head, just to see if you have any grey hair forming there.
Yeah, it's just kind of losing it, I think, a bit, Stevie.
It's the reason I sort of ask is obviously you're still younger than me, so I can't say that you're old, but it's probably been a stressful few weeks, obviously for the promotion. I guess in some ways when we last spoke in Belfast, you sort of you had an idea of the perfect card, two domestic fights, one for an Irish title, one for a Celtic title, and then obviously a domestic fight as well. Obviously, first of all, you lost Graham McCormick and Robbie Burke. Then obviously Deco obviously pulled out the other evening. I'm going to give you a bit of credit here. I'm going to call you your new name's probably going to be Mastermind because a lot of probably promoters and things like that would probably at the stage where they lose a main event, sort of two and a half weeks, 3 weeks out, they would go, nah, we'll just pull the whole card. But talk to me obviously on where this master plan and idea came about for Senan and Matthew Tyndall.
Um, well, it didn't really. I won't take full credit for it. Obviously, I'm promoting it, and I put it together. But no, look, my heart went out to Senan. I'm very close with Matthew, as everyone knows, and his father. And Matthew's father is part of Glenn's training, coaching, along with myself. And Glenn trains up with Matthew, young Matthew, under his father a couple of days a week, and then I do my days a week with Glenn as well. And so I was ringing him to tell him that myself and Glenn were back from my sister's wedding and that we would be up for training last Friday night. And he was like, "That's grand, yeah, no bother." And then I obviously told him the news about Deco. And at the same time, I was talking to Senan, and Senan just said, "Jay, get me someone." And I just sent it out to a few. I contacted a couple. I contacted Neil Power about Dylan. And Matthew's father just come back and said, yeah, look, it's probably earlier than we expected because the plan was for Matthew, maybe end of the year or the first fight in the new year to maybe get him a Celtic title and then try push on and go for the Irish title, towards the summer of next year. Because he's moving nicely. The plan was for him to go 6-0 in on October, maybe Celtic title at 7 in around November, December, and then head into the new year. Maybe one fight in the new year before we look at an Irish title in around 8, 9-0. And I thought that would have been the perfect way to progress his career because I don't think people really know that Matthew this time last year wasn't even a pro. He was coming off losing the guts of 40, 50 pounds since he started with me in the April of 23. And it's what, 17 months. He's gone from being 210 pounds out of the sport of boxing to being 6-0 as a pro and 2 weeks away from fighting for the Irish title. That's, in my opinion, if I was him, that's stuff dreams are made of, and he's just shown testament to his character and his belief of his own ability that he is 100% confident that he can win this fight. And they didn't have to take the fight. There was no pressure put on anyone to take the fight. To be honest, I was thinking maybe Dylan Moran might want to jump in. We are going to look at Danny Keating. Then I seen that Dave Ryan was in training there a few weeks ago. I was going to see that he want to take it because it was a weight above, so I knew the weight wouldn't be an issue for him. So there was options there, but this was done and dusted in, I think, 2 hours after Declan had the pull. And again, there still to this minute hasn't been a mention of money or anything like that. And like from Matthew's team, like now obviously they know they're going to be. I'll look after them, and I know they trust me. But I think that just shows the type of person that Matthew is. People will say, he's probably being rushed, but is he? He's 6-0. He's about to become. He's about to go. He was about to go 6-0. He's now 6-0 after today's 8-round fight. He's had, you know, 3 4 rounders. How many 4 rounders do you need? He's had three. He then had 2 6 rounders. He's now had an 8 rounder. So how much more does he need before he's ready to fight in a 10 round title fight? Ideally, maybe one, maybe two more fights. But as him and his father have said, opportunities come along, and when they come along, you have to be ready to take them. And I think, again, that's what he's shown here. And in my opinion, it's a 50-50 fight. I think Matthew's ability is probably more than Senan's in regard to technical ability, what he's won as an amateur and all that. But then Senan has been a seasoned pro. Senan has been around the program for a long time now. He's been in camps. He's been sparring with the highest level lads, the Gary Cullys, the Sean McCombs, and that over the last few years, and he's had title experience. So, you know, he's also a good few years older than Matthew, so we'd have more of a man strength than Matthew may have. And as I said, he has experience, but I think the boxing, maybe IQ and technical ability, taking nothing away from Senan, you'd have to side at Matthew. So it's, to me, it's a 50-50. The both of them cancel each other out. And look, I think for the promotion, for the company, it's a win-win. And it was the same with Deco. I managed both. I'm personal friends with Deco. I trained alongside Senan for a couple of years and became a close bond with Senan. And that was a fight that, again, I wanted to sit on my hands watching it and, just nod my head and smile and say, yeah, that's great. But you can't cheer for anybody. Although I want to cheer for Senan when he's doing well, and I want to cheer for Matthew when he's doing well. But look, I don't think there's a loser. I think you made a great post earlier on when you said, I don't think there's a loser in this fight, because you've got two boys unbeaten, 6-0, 8-0. Both boys have planned on campaigning at 140. Senan only stepped up to meet Declan at 147. So he's now stuck at 147 for this fight. Both of these lads want a campaign at 140. So, if Matthew was to say go in and get beaten, well, he'll be 6-1, took a shot on 2 weeks' notice at a weight above what he wants to campaign in, 10 months into his pro career. Is anyone going to really look at that and look negative towards that? And then for Senan, he's 8-0. He's won his Celtic title this year. He's stepping up against what Manny would say was, one of Ireland's top amateur talents, 11 Irish titles. And if he was to get beaten, you'd say, yeah, we'll just go back down to 140 and win your belt at that weight. And, they'd say there's weight classes for a reason. So I think the boxing fans win this one. Obviously, whoever loses the fight will be heartbroken, and that's the way it should be. But I think for us as a management company, I think I don't think it knocks any of the lads back in their careers, to be honest. Whoever loses the fight, I don't think it knocks them back in their careers. And whoever wins, it progresses them all massively in their career. So, yeah, it's a plus.
It's just sort of, you're sort of thinking there, I'm still obviously, still sort of bemused by the fact that you're not even a year into JB Promotions, and like there you've two obviously great highlights of JB Promotions. This is going to be Senan's 5th fight on your card. Matthew Tyndall's been in every JB Promotions card. This is obviously going to be his 7th fight. So this is the blueprint for sort of everybody else coming through to say, you sign with JB Promotions, or you fighting JB Promotions shows, we're going to keep you fighting regularly. Like if you'd have told Senan Kelly or Matthew Tyndall to get them 2024 as an Irish champion, they would have bitten both their arms and your legs off. So like you've given opportunities to people that they probably didn't expect they would have so early on as a JB Promotions brand.
Yeah, well, we and Senan discussed this. I trained with Senan, as you know, the last year, and I was very close. And I seen the frustrations at times that he wasn't getting the right fights. He wasn't happy with certain fights he was getting, and he was getting a bit fed up with it. And he was constantly saying that in the gym, I have a fight date that fell through, have another fight date that fell through, and he was just getting fed up, and it was costing him money to train, and he was just really fed up. And then he came to me when I set up on I started signing a couple of lads, and he said about working together, and I said, yeah. And I said, well, what are you looking to do? And he says, I want to fight in big fights. I just want to have a go. Like I'm ready to go. And I says, right, okay, need to get you one fight. I says, then we look at getting you a Celtic title fight. If you can win that, then coming through that, we look at getting you an Irish title fight before the end of the year. So what Senan asked me, he got Edgar Kempski, which was, he made a lot of hard work on it because he's a terrible camp for it, and that didn't go well for him. But then when he turned up and fought Jay Tinkland, I think he showed who Senan Kelly can be, and it was an outstanding performance that night, and he won his Celtic title. And then it was, does he sit around waiting for an Irish title, or does he keep busy? So we got him a keep busy fight against Dale Arrowsmith. That's his 3rd fight under us, and his 4th fight under us as an Irish title. So from me as a manager, Timmy Boxer, I've delivered every single thing he's asked. And Matthew, when he went pro, we discussed it. We said it's not a hurry. We're not in a hurry. There's no rushing. We'll just chip along. We'll fight as regular as you can, as much as you want. You can fight, and he's become 6-0. He's what is it? 9, 10 months into his career.
Yeah, I
He's
think
six
it's
and
like
zero,
the
and
debut at the start of November, so you're pretty much
yeah,
you're
fortunate.
just over 10 months as a pro.
Yeah, 10 months as a pro. He's had 6 fights, 6 wins, and they feel Matthew, his father, and his team feel that he's ready for this fight. So I'm the manager. I can only, offer things. I can only suggest things at times and whatnot. But it's up to them to take it. And if they feel they're ready, I can only support them on that. As I said, I'm close to Matthew. I've seen his fitness levels improve massively over the last few months and that. And it's funny because him and Senna were sparring partners. And up until the start of last week, Matthew's father had offered to coach Senna full time for the remainder of this camp because he just Senna had said that he was like training between one or two people, and Matthew's dad said, well, look, if you want to jump in with us in the full camp, you can come with us full time and we'll work around your times and all to help him out. So that's a respect both parties have for this, but it's an opportunity. And again, sometimes opportunities come, and if they come and you feel you're ready, you have to take them because you just don't know when it'll come again. And I think that's what's happened here. But I said, there's no disrespect to any lads. And the same with Deco and Senan. We done a promo video and there was nothing but, niceties with the two of them. And I'm thinking this will be the same. There's no need to be, there's no need to have a bit of needle or to have anything there. I know the public love that, and I know people love to see that. But this is a boxing match. This is two boys that are getting in there. They both have their styles, and the best man will win on the night. There's no need for a needle in this one.
It's a genuine respect. Sometimes, like I sort of said, it can be like a coin flip. Like you could actually even say both the title fights in the card are like a sort of coin flip. Obviously, Sean Murray and Daniel Sullivan as well. Like I'm not sure if you're up for obviously giving money away to somebody, but there wouldn't be too many people could probably predict the winner of both fights and the method of victory maybe on the fight. So maybe if you feel a bit flush after on fight week and you can sort of put up a competition to go, if you can predict the winner of each fight and the method of victory, there'll not be too many people do it. Obviously, their names are in their hat, and you give someone a meal voucher or €50 or something like that.
It's that's another fight, and that's gone under the radar at the minute because we're just trying to tie the two lads up, and we have a promotional plan in place for that fight, which hopefully get done at the end of this week, start of next week. But that fight hasn't got the press it needs at the minute yet, but it will next week. We have a promotional set ready to go for that. We just haven't been able to get the two lads, and we have a business that's doing it with us and the media guys together. We just haven't been able to lock everyone down together at the same time, but we're getting close to having that agreed, and we have a really good promotional video to start getting that fight out there and getting it going because, as I said, we're coming down to 2.5 weeks now. So by the end of this week, start of next week, the promotional on that fight will be out there and we will start working on that as well. So yeah, look, that's another fight. In my opinion, it's two boys. I don't know Daniel personally. Over the years, I've never met the guy. I've spoke to him. He seems an absolute gentleman. I know Sean Murray since when him and Chris Blaney rang me for a call about looking after him when he wanted to go pro, and I looked into them, and both these lads haven't got years and years and years of amateur experience behind them. But they're both really, really hard working professionals. They train really hard. There's no sure thing. Both will get on the scales in tip top condition. Both of them will come with a massive heart and with a will to win. People are saying to me, Daniel will probably have a little bit more boxing in him. And then a few are saying to me, I think Sean could be too big for him. So, again, your guess is as good as mine. I genuinely can't call either fight. I genuinely can't call either fight. I look at it and I go, no, I wouldn't be putting my house on either fight to call the winner because I just genuinely don't know, who wins the fights. And that's the way a fight should be. One-sided fights are no good to anybody. We've said that. This echoes what I'd say about my journeyman. The journeyman, we don't ever pick journeymen that are just coming to fall over and things because of that. Like, I want entertaining fights, and I think them two fights are really entertaining. And card has let me down the last week. I've had a few pullouts and a few people, opponents, like Glenn's opponent pulled out, and I actually thought he was a good test for Glenn. I'd watched him, and I'd actually thought he was actually a really good test for Glenn, believe it or not. But his mother or something, family, some of the family is sick or something. He can't travel. So we're just looking at a couple of opponents. Jordan Graham was pulled out against Richie. He was double booked. So I've got to replace for him this evening. So I just have to lock in that now tonight properly. And there's a few changes to the card, and which doesn't really suit me because I started early to get this all locked down, and it's kind of annoying me a little bit, you know. But look, it is what it is. We will go, and as I said, the two big fights are made, and you know, please God, everyone else is all locked in and happy. Actually, another fight in the card, which is good as well. Jason Harty will fight guy Karimi. He boxed Badador Karimi. He boxed Kevin Argo in Belfast. He boxes Jason Harty on the card as well, which I think is a good fight. I think it's a really good fight. And then there's a couple of others there that we're working on at the minute, and we will get them all over the line. Again, I don't worry, I don't panic. It's 2.5 weeks out. You don't really do your matchmaking until you're kind of 2 weeks out, because you know yourself, Stephen, they can be stoppages and things, and your flights and things go out the window. So it's at business time now in the next 4 or 5 days when we lock in all the opponents, and once we start doing that, there won't be any issues, you know. John Boyd will fight Octavian Gratti. That is locked in. That is 100% Gratti's flights and all are booked for him. Cramy is booked in as well. His flights and all are booked, and they're both confirmed and locked in. As I said, the two mains are locked in, and there's a couple of other there I just have to tweak through and make sure that we're 100. And Oisin Treacy is fighting that fella, Jose Aguirre as well. He's not a bad guy either. So yeah, look, it's another card.
It's all good, you know, in the Western front of say you're sort of getting that busy period now where, you know, you nearly sort of get to the stage, like if you'd have got to this stage and everything was still rosy, you know, you'd still had 8, 9, 10 fights in the card, nothing had happened, you'd go, what's going on, what's something wrong, you know. Obviously the last card with obviously the Dominic Donegan obviously thing was obviously the Sean Murray fight that sort of fell through, so you nearly sometimes expect, and I think I remember from speaking to Jamie Conlan before, it was like they sort of nearly sometimes oversold a card with fights because they always knew there was going to be an issue somewhere with the fight.
Yeah, no, that's it. That is it. Like, you know, and there's a lot of the Borky and Graham fight. I like that fight. I thought again, it was another. I thought it was a really good 50-50 fight. I thought it really was a good 50-50 fight, and I was disappointed to lose that fight. To be really honest with you, I actually liked that fight. I thought it was a good fight for both their careers. But I was disappointed to lose that one, and I looked at other options and things, and I just I let it go then to one side, because if I've said it for years, I've said it since I was boxing, it's very, very hard to get Irish people to fight each other. And just to put that out there, you know, we're saying about how hard it is to get Irish people to fight there. Look at Sean Murray. Okay, he had Alan White in his debut, but then he had Shane Meehan. Then he agreed to fight Dominic Donegan. Now he agreed to fight Daniel. You know, there's Matthew, 6 fights in. He's only a kid. He's wet behind the ears. And he's straight ready. I'm ready to go. I want to fight against his domestic. So I'm just hoping that the mentality, and not only that, but there's other lads there. Like my brother Glenn has tipped around, and he said there's no rush with me. But when I've mentioned a couple of names to him, he's kind of open to each. Just says whatever you say, you know. And there's a few others. John Boyd, I know, is happy to go into the mix after Christmas. So I'm hoping that maybe this time next year we might have a really active domestic scene.
It's, you know, we've sort of had, you know, bits and spells sort of it. Obviously, I can remember, you know, Jimmy Morrissey and Kevin Cronin sort of had what pretty much about just over a year and a half. It sort of started last year, was the first fight for the Celtic title, and then the rematch for the Irish title in April of last year. And it was like nobody came out of that, you know, on a bad thing. Like, you know, I know one of them was a draw, and obviously Kevin Cronin was beating the other one, but he's obviously back this weekend fighting for the Celtic title again. Jimmy Morrissey was beat by Emmett Brennan, who fights Kevin Cronin, and he's fighting for his third chance of becoming a 3-time Celtic champion in the Elite Sports Show in the National Stadium next month. So, like, domestic fights are domestic fights. You want to see your level. You know, if you're not good enough, go away and train and something, come back. There's no disgrace in losing. You know, or there shouldn't be.
Look, Steve, you have an issue in the country where you get pros, you get young lads that go on pro, and look, everyone has to have admirations to go here and go there, and their plans and the whole lot. But you get young lads, they sit down, they have no amateur career, or they have a very limited amateur career, and they sit down in their first interview and they tell you they're going to be a world champion, and that's fine. But when you're 4, 5, 6, and 0, and you're starting to get asked for domestic fights and you're refusing them, you're never going to be this world champion if you can't get past domestic lads. So, you know, I just think you don't want everyone to win the domestic fights either. It can't be just everyone kills everyone and it's a big domestic scene and no one pushes on. But there's certain lads in the country that, you know, need to know their level and realise where they're at and what they're doing. You know, and out of winning a domestic fight, it can push you on. Sean Murray, he beat Shane Meehan. He wanted the Dominic Dunnigan fight. It was accepted all. We know what happened there. We won't go over old news, but he, on the back of that, has now got his Celtic title fight in his 4th fight. And if he's to come through against Daniel, in theory, the next fight should be the Irish title. So he could be 5 or 6 and 0 fighting an Irish title. You've Matthew fighting for an Irish title in his 7th fight. And that's stuff that hasn't really happened in the pro game in Ireland for a while. You know, the Celtic titles, I do think the Celtic titles at times get kind of, I wouldn't say given out easy, but fought, you know, with lesser records and the whole lot. But the Irish title is a hard title to win, and to have lads fighting for them in 5 and 6 fights and 7 fights, I think is testament to the lads and the risks they're willing to take in their careers. And then if you win that, you know, the world is your oyster then.
Definitely agree, particularly in the Celtic belt. You know, I know it's fired out there quite a lot, and sometimes, like, you know, to give you another scenario, you had Emmett Brennan as the Celtic champion at light heavy, Tommy Hyde as the Celtic champion at super middle. Whatever else has happened with the BUI, it seems like Tommy lost his belt, then becomes vacant somewhere else, and you're sort of going, is the traffic lights red or the amber or the green? You just don't know what's going on. And Irish title fights in the past normally get you ranked in Europe. And now it just seems to be that an Irish title fight doesn't give you a ranking in Europe anymore. It's like it's if the landscape's completely changed somewhere.
Yeah, I was only saying that. I was only talking to someone yesterday about that. But I remember, I think that was a myth, to be honest with you, because I remember when I was fighting for the Irish title back in 2016 or 17. I'm not 100%. It was 17, March 2017. And I remember looking into it, and when Craig beat me for it, he never got a ranking in the top 16 in Europe. I think that was a myth. I don't, unless it was years and years ago. But I know in the last 7-8 years that hasn't been the case.
Yeah, it just needs to be. I guess there's a lot more pros nowadays. There's a lot more belts sort of on the line as well, and regional areas that sometimes it's harder to get on. You obviously you've other news that sort of come out today. It's been left sort of in the back line. I obviously done an interview yesterday with your newest pro and JB Promotions now, and I was waiting for you to send me a text. They say, how many pros do we have now? Like, can you remember off the top of your head how many you have at the minute?
15, 14 or 15. You had 19. I mean, Eddie obviously is retired. Jake has stepped back. Dominic is not with us anymore. I think there's another one there floating there that we signed that's not active. That brings us down to 15, and then Hija is now on, so 16. I think it's 15. I'll double check, but I think it's 15.
15, 16. At least if you give me two numbers there, and you just hope it's not 14 or 17.
No, so it's definitely not 17.
It's like doing the bonus ball the weekend. You're going, I should pick that number. You know, so if it's 15 or 16, you're right either way. But like that's your second fighter now in Belfast. I know when you put out your schedule for obviously what 2024 was to be, there's supposed to be Belfast cards. The good thing you've sort of built up a base. You know, this is now. I'm getting lost, and I think I said this in your interview yesterday with Hija. This is your 6th show of the year, is that correct? And 7th in total. So, like,
no, this is our 5th of the year, 6th in total.
There we are. There's me getting lost. So, like, that's now 2 Belfast signings. Have we got hope for a show in 2025 in Belfast?
Yeah, I definitely will. I'd look at that. Look, it's not about trying to come into Belfast and take over or anything like that. It's the same in Dublin. Like, it's more of a couple of lads in Belfast now. John has being building away brilliantly. Really, really happy with John. He's such a professional guy. He's come to Dublin twice now. He obviously is boxing Belfast. He done the SSE and he done the Ulster thanks to Conlan boxing. So he's 4 now. It's time to bring John back to Belfast now and really let him build a bit of a crowd behind him. We've Heejin now as well. So, but not only that, I have a lot of friends in Belfast through the boxing scene over the years. And a good few of these guys now are managing fighters and things like that. And I've been chatting to a few of them. And again, I want to work with everybody. I keep saying that to everybody. And I'm sure the other promoters know this because I'm talking to most of them. I don't think there's a promoter in this country I don't speak to, actually. That's being straightly honest with you. I was chatting to Barry Walsh a few weeks ago before he announced the show. I've been chatting to Neil Power regularly for the last couple of months about his show. Obviously, we've had our guys on Jamie and Mick's shows. Stephen McAnally, I've met him personally. We've had good conversations and things. Sorry if I forgot anyone else, but Mark Dunlop, obviously, he was my manager in that before. I have a good relationship with Mark. So there's no one really in Ireland that's running shows that I don't speak to. Me coming to Belfast isn't me trying to push into someone else's patch or try to store something that's going on up there. It's just I have a couple of lads up there now. I think there's a big pool of boxers up there. And I just think maybe there's not enough shows at the minute up there. So coming in and maybe running 1, 2 shows, small shows. I'm not looking at going big. I leave that to the big boys. I'm happy just to keep chipping along and building my lads. And if I can go to the Devenish and do 2 shows next year in the Devenish and do 6, 7 shows in Dublin, maybe even 3 in Belfast. My target next year is to try hit 10 shows. And if I can do that between 2 or 3 in Belfast and 6 or 7 in Dublin, that's all I want to do. I don't want to come in. I don't want to disturb people. I don't want to throw a show out a few days or a week before someone else or anything like that. I would like to talk to the other promoters. When are you planning on going? That's okay. Well, I'll do a few weeks after that. If you need anyone on that's not ready for your one, put them on mine and vice versa. I think that's the way it works. I think that progresses all the fighters in the same way. And then it means when they're all progressing nicely, we can then put my fighter against your fighter, or you as like this one, 2 of my fighters come together. I have no problem at times if I have 2 lads and they're ready to go against each other for the belt or the title and Jamie's doing a bigger show and it would make more sense businessly to him and to the fighters, well then you take that fight. I have no issue with that. That's not an issue to me in the slightest, there was obviously talk of Glenn and James Freeman. I have no problem. Jamie wants to do that because James has big numbers up there. No problem. Take that to Belfast because it makes sense to the fighters. It makes sense to the show to make a few bob on it. So let them have that show. Or look, if it's a fight that can happen and we can do it, and we do. But again, it's working together, Stephen. It's 100% working together, and trying to make the shows not clash, making sure there's gaps and distance in between them. It benefits the fighters, it benefits the promoters, it benefits the media because it's very hard for you if the shows on 2 nights in a row or a week between. And we all have families and that. So next year, I would like to think that we will definitely come to Belfast and do a show to 2 shows, and that'd be it. Yeah, it'd be nice. I'd like to do that. I think next year John Boyd will be definitely in the run for a Celtic title. Like in theory, John Boyd should be aiming to get towards 10-0 next year. But I'd like to give him a Celtic title up and in front of his home crowd.
Definitely. It's always music to my ears when I'm hearing that obviously there's going to be fight cards in Belfast. I know sometimes I lobby about on other places for shows, but sometimes nowhere beats home. Obviously that's where my base is sort of at. And if it makes it easier for me and not having to pay tolls and things like that, I complain about tolls and things. So if I'm not having to pay a toll and I can stay in Belfast, it's easier. It just means I get a lot more done. But look, obviously, we're just over 2 weeks out. Like, is there many? I know, previously when we spoke, there wasn't many tickets left. With the sort of changes, is there many tickets still sort of left for the show, or what are we currently like?
Yeah, there's not a massive amount. I think we're definitely under 100. I would say. I'm not sure if any lads aren't left. I don't think they do. I think Daniel might have a few that he was saying to me. I'd say we have about 50 or 60 tickets left, which isn't bad.
I'm sure now with
it's not
obviously
bad.
this change in the main event as well, obviously you're probably going to get people that were maybe him and Han going. It's now seeing a really good fight. It's sort of now been populated as a main event. Say 2 really, really good title fights on the line. It can go either way. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that the last them few remaining tickets can go.
Please God, yeah. Look again. I think anyone in the game knows that we haven't made a bean all year, and it most likely won't be any different this time. But it's just about covering costs, making sure the lads are progressing, and away we go. The money they made down the road, please God.
Yeah, well, look, obviously, thank you as always for your time. I'll obviously go and get this up straight out for you now. It's 20 to 7 now, and I'm hoping maybe 8:30 this will be up and running. But thanks as always for your time, and obviously I'll catch up here in Dublin in Fight Week once again.
100%. We will have a press conference on the Wednesday. I don't know if that's any good to you, but we will have a press conference on the Wednesday.
Not a bother. Sure, I'll speak to you soon, AJ. All right,
Thank
take
you
care.
very much, my man. As
No
always,
problem.
thanks, Theo.
Cheers,
Nice
take care.
bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.